Gamers of Reddit, what game came out of nowhere and left its mark on you unlike most any other, and why? Braid. A small indie puzzle platformer I've never heard of. I can't remember why I even gave it a try. The graphics, the music and the twist at the end just lead me to sit there for a minute contemplating what just happened. Golden Sun. My first game and the best RPG I've played. Music and story is awesome with great gameplay. I remember spending hours wandering around the overworld trying to find the last two Mother de Kingjin that were just hidden in random spots on the map. Had to have them all. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 on CERN. That soundtrack pretty much shaped my teens. Remember the night my mate brought it round saying you need to check this out. Next morning I was in the local indie game store selling my soul to get hold of a copy. Thief. The original, not the reboot. The idea of a protagonist who was physically underwhelming and won by avoiding fights was brand new at the time, and it revolutionized the industry by creating a new genre, the first-person sneaker. Garrett was also an exceptionally intriguing protagonist, and his cynicism and shuttered personality really made him the most interesting introvert hero in gaming. Every time one of these threads pop up I always scroll down all the way to find my fellow taffers hiding in the shadows. Anyone else going to the bear pits tomorrow? Sure. You wanna come with? Do 6. I never met a game that offered so many paths and customizations. This and the conversation paths and ability to dictate how the story played out were a revelation for me. Heroes of Might and Magic 3 was the first PC game I ever played properly, and I still enjoy playing it today. The strategy, the races, and army building. Loved playing hot seat with my friends. 4 friends crowded around a tiny monitor waiting their turn. Talking strategies. Drinking beers. Good times. I still have my complete edition of HOMM3 sitting in my desk drawer, even though I don't have a computer to play it on. I refuse to throw it away because someday I will play it and it will be glorious. Do you remember the map where you played as Greek gods? I must have replayed that map at least 20 times. The map was called Myth and Legend. Civilization 3. It came to me through Scholastic magazine back in grade 7. I never ordered it. My parents didn't pay for it, but it had my name on it. Put the CD in, and I haven't looked back since. I don't have much time for gaming anymore, but that damn game always gets me hooked. Bought 4 and 5, but they don't have the same feel as 3. We'll over 1,000 hours in there. Edit. Well, thanks to you raging barbarians. I'm going to have to start a game tonight. My wife will hate me. I'll be a zombie at work for the next month. But goddamn, will I nuke the life out of Gandhi. Red Dead Redemption. Never heard of the game, and I just happened to visit my local supermarket day after its release and bought it. The game was in a way so unique but still familiar. I don't know how to explain it. It had the usual GTA feeling to it, but it was still very different compared to Rockstar's other games as it was from the Wild West with horses and incredible story and side missions. It's crazy to me that I had to scroll this far down to find this response. Red Dead was the most engrossing experience I've ever had with a video game. We can only hope our DR2 will be as good. XCOM. The original back in the 90s. It was a game that changed gaming for me. Sure. I loved flight sims, and the Wing Commander series was a favorite. Civ I was amazing, and Master of Orion was a flawed but fun game. Even Master of Magic was a good time, but XCOM? Oh, wow. The sense of dread, fear, and losing soldiers left and right no matter how smart you were, these were things I'd never known in a game before. XCOM really was a great mix of tactical and strategic, and as a young marine, actually taught me a lot about the relationship between strategy and tactics. Sometimes, a stupid mistake in strategy would trickle down to create an unwinnable tactical situation. A bad tactical decision could eliminate my best squad, and then create a strategic choke point. I would name every soldier after someone I knew, and losing them was like a punch to the gut. When someone made it to colonel, they were truly godlike, and when I had a good squad or two of high-ranking soldiers, they were almost unstoppable, unless Jesus had other thoughts. The controls were amazingly good, too. Stand, kneel, or prone positions and the ability to make different sorts of shots based on time units, run or walk. The list goes on. Such solid game mechanics. This game is still playable today. Sure, the graphics are quaint, but the gameplay stands up just as strong today as it did in 1994. I played XCOM for the first time and got stuck in an unwinnable situation which thought was amazing because I'd never really had that happen before. AoE 2. Such a simple RTS, but I've probably played about 250 hours. And my childhood game. The best game 10/10ths. Roses are red. Tulips are. Too. Well lalo. Both are now blue. This made me laugh more than it should have lol. I bought Fire Emblem for GBA with my hard-earned birthday money when I was like 11. I liked the art and Nintendo Power said it was good. Nobody I knew had ever heard of it. I fell in love. Beat it. Lent it to my friend. He beat it. We convinced more people to buy in and all of a sudden I can't stop playing turn-based RPGs. PS. Recommend me good turn-based RPGs/strategy games PLS. Edit. Thanks for the suggestions. I'm both impressed at how many I've played and impressed with how many I've never heard of. Looks like I have a lot of gaming to do. Speaking of GBA, Advance Wars or Golden Sun anyone? Both are great turn-based games. Edit. Obligatory. Hey, my first gold. Sorry I didn't see it right away. I didn't expect this at all. Thank you, kind stranger. Also, if anyone plays Uniware on mobile, it's a great game similar to Advance Wars and I need a team to play on. Our Golden Sun. It blew my mind how awesome the graphics were, and to this day I'm still super impressed. I still think it had the best graphics of any GBA game. Got KOTOR on sale at GameStop. Sucked in forever. Couple years later I found KOTOR 2 on sale at GameStop. Sucked in forever again. KOTOR is the first RPG I ever completed. It is an absolute masterpiece of a game, with two of the best characters I have ever come across in a game. Europa Universalis 4. A couple of years ago I went on YouTube to find a let's play of Crusader Kings 2 because I'd been seeing it referenced on a forum a lot and was curious about it. I found one by/u/Squill18 and watched the whole thing and then wanted to watch more, but it turned out that he does more EU4 than CK2, so I started watching those. Fairly quickly after that I bought EU4 and over the next year learned how to play by trial and error, reading the wiki and watching Quill18's LPs. The game has had a huge impact on me in a number of ways. First, I'd never really watched any LPs before except for a couple of times where I checked out 30 minutes or so to see if I liked a game. I've now watched a truly absurd amount of EU4 games from a bunch of people, where most playlists on YouTube average something like 40 to 60 parts that are about 30 minutes. Second, before EU4 the type of game that I played a lot were Fallout and Elder Scrolls, where I had around 200 to 300 hours logged on Steam for each game. I'm now at about 800 hours on EU4, and have only become more interested in it as time goes on. I could write a lot more about EU4 and the pretty awesome community, but need to get to work. Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life. It's so chill and soothing. It got me through childhoodship and jump started my interest in business and economics. Also Myth got it going on. Celia is where it's at, buddy. Celia every time. She was the first bachelorette I ever married. Shadow of the Colossus. Story was so minimal but so powerful. I loved the scale of Colossi and just the mood that sepia tinted world put me in. Never played anything like it. Edit. Thank you everyone for all the comments. So glad this has gotten more awareness. Truly a game to be experienced. The very first Colossus encounter was moving. Here's this behemoth that I'm tasked with killing. Just chilling peacefully. It's beautiful and very much a part of this world. And I kill it. For what? It falls to the floor and dies in pain. And I bear the marks of the horrific act I've just committed. I wake up and set out to do it again. Journey. A friend recommended it, so I downloaded it. I knew nothing about it, and after a little, while a second character popped up and did some random stuff. The AI in this game is weird as hell, I thought. Then, admittedly way too late, We were already far in the freezing snow level. Something in my brain clicked, and I realized this was another human I was playing with. Someone I didn't know, and would never get to know. It could have been anyone. This made me feel so connected to the world, and every person living in it. And it made the ending of the game even more emotional for me. I haven't played Journey since, even though I really loved it, because I know it can never have that extreme impact on me again. You can actually connect with all the people you played with. After the credits the game will list the usernames of those you've played with. My first playthrough of Journey was similarly emotional. The player even traced out a heart in the snow as a thank you at the end. After the particularly cathartic run I found out the player's gamer tag was something like Babylon 666. I laughed so hard for a solid 20 minutes. Well, not me. I always trace the heart in the snow. I then sit and let them take the first steps towards the light alone. 100% of the time, when they realize I'm not walking with them they come back and chirp at me and we walk the end together. I thought the feeling would diminish over time. But that little zap of companionship gets me every time I play through to the end. That's rather poetic. Factorio. The indie devs have never done any form of advertisement, have never run a sale, and don't plan to, and the game now has over 1 million purchases and is one of the highest positively rated games available on Steam. It's still early access and they are constantly improving it. I just stumbled upon it one day and thought it looked cool. Sat on the fence with the $20 price for some time. One day I was bored and said duck it. Went for it. Now, all hours of the day I'm dreaming of the improvements I can make to my factory. I legitimately have to ban myself from playing, because I would never get anything done if I played as much as I'd like. It's one of the most addictive games I've ever played, and well worth the $20 I spent on it. Do yourself a favor and buy Factorio. Factorio. A shining example of what early access should be. Highly recommend it. The original Fable, The Lost Chapters expansion was amazing. BioShock. Game was about 6 months old when I got it. Beat it within 48 hours. I was pretty much used to RPGs having the interesting worlds, stories and concepts. Then along came what I would say was the most interesting setting I had ever seen. Indeed. I'll never forget the shivers when you first slide down into the ocean in a bathysphere and then Andrew Ryan's voice crackles through the loudspeaker. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his own bro? Apostrophe. For me, it was the most memorable beginning to a game I have ever experienced. A man chooses, a slave obeys. The Wolf Among Us. I don't like those story-like games, but for some reason, that game just stuck with me. Absolutely fantastic game. Would replay again and again. Gren won't remember that is one of the greatest jokes I've seen in a Telltale game. Have you played Tales from the Borderlands? If you skip the credits, it will say Telltale will remember that. I caught myself laughing when one of the characters actually noticed the will remember that line next to their head and was like WTF is that? Man, I love Borderlands humor. I've never noticed that one. Damn. I need to replay that game. I hope some of the characters appear in Borderlands 3. I was honestly surprised with the scope of the game and what Gearbox actually let Telltale do in the game story wise. I really hope they keep it canon. The Sims. Because if I can't handle my own life, just handle someone else's. Ruin someone else's. I'll have you know my sim is a well-settled athletic actor and thief, who may or may not have got arrested because of his fame. I'll have you know my sim is a police officer, who may or may not have been on this case for 6 long years and I finally got you. You son of a bitch. Okami. Absolutely beautiful game. This so much. Incredible presentation. From the soundtrack, to the locations, to the character designs. The payoff at the ending of Okami is fantastic as well. Ison and Amaterasu's friendship seems so genuine and built up. Each little side quest / story quest has neat, interesting characters like Princess Kaguya, the Sparrow King, Susano, Waka, Oki, Princess Fuse. Man, I love Okami. If you haven't played it, you really need to. Ori and the Blind Forest. I thought I would not love a 2D game, but I didn't play this kind of game in years, so I gave it a shot during Steam sales. Turns out I loved it. Beautiful soundtrack, graphics, and story. I was not used to that kind of gameplay either, but it was refreshing and very cool. Edit. Some of you told me I might enjoy Hollow Knight and I wanted to say thanks. I bought it today and I'm really enjoying the beginning. Also thanks strangers for all the cool comments. Surprised there is not more love for this game. It is a challenging platformer with insanely gorgeous graphics and an amazing story about friendship and keeping an open mind. I've played it through 3 times and still revisit occasionally because it is such an exquisite experience. Also, Kuro is one of the most magnificent and intense villains. She's so huge and yet so fast. And at no point do you have any kind of chance to take her in a fight. Because you are a tiny cat rabbit and she is an owl made of pure hatred and she's the size of a house. On Steam last summer I voted Kuro to be the villain the most in need of a hug, haha. The Mass Effect series, especially Mass Effect 1. It had everything I loved at the time. But I didn't really even know about the game till years later after all 3 games were released. One day, Mass Effect 1 was given away for free on Xbox Live on my 360. Picked it up out of curiosity and fell in absolute love with it. Awesome third-person shooter with an interesting RPG team-based style with an amazing story that had player choice be an important factor. And I'd fucking love anything sci-fi. This series turned out to be my all-time favorite game series. Just played through the Mass Effect series last summer and it's probably my favorite trilogy ever. All 3 games were so freaking good. People were left with a sour taste in the mouth from the end of the 3rd one. But honestly, besides the last 10 minutes of the 3rd game, it was still just as good as the others. My favorite was the 2nd one. Never had that feeling in any other video game as I did during the suicide mission on Me Too. So badass. Nothing will match that first time playing the suicide mission. Didn't upgrade my ship. Didn't do some loyalty missions. Watching squad mates die because of my laziness crushed me. You see, I upgraded everything. Did all the loyalty missions and just being there, leading my squad mates through the mission was so cool. Plus the parts where you have to put other people in charge of different tasks and knowing what they are good at so that they could get the job done. It was also the only mission in all 3 games that I didn't take Garrus on when I had the opportunity to do so. There was no one I trusted more leading the others than him. That's when Garrus became a brother to me. Absolutely loved his scene with Shep on the Citadel in Me 3. I'm Garrus Vicarian and this is now my favorite spot on the Citadel. Sleeping dogs made me like video games again. Actually immersed in the game. And didn't cheat code once. Something pork buns. No other game has captured the glory that is Hong Kong action cinema quite like Sleeping Dogs. That game needs a sequel. It's easily my favorite open world game. A sequel was planned, but the game studio shut down. When did they shut down? A fake. They made some dumb online only game based on SD called Triad Wars. Katamari. Last week I introduced my 8 years old son to Katamari Damacy. I never realized how much I missed that music. Oblivion. Only bought it because I finished all the games that were out at the time for the 360 and really didn't think I'd like it. Had no idea what type of game it would be. As you can imagine, it left a mark on me. Stop right there, criminal scum. Not if I have 100% chameleon. Loved Oblivion. But it became so broken if you went full illusion/chameleon. Arkham Asylum. I thought for sure it'd be another cash grab licensed game relying on the Batman name to sell rather than actual quality. It wound up becoming my favorite series in the PS3 general. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.